Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
As I was walking down the street one day, a man came up to me and asked me what the time was that was on my watch. Yeah.
Welcome in on a wintry final day of January. Well, let me just say this right now outside. If you haven't been out, it's beautiful. And I'll tell you why it's beautiful. The ice, and there's not a lot of it, is on the trees. It's frost, okay? So the trees look gorgeous. On the streets at the moment, no ice because the ground is so warm, I see wet. So you see like in front of my house there was a little puddle, but it's water. It's not ice. Now, if you're on overpasses, bridges, be careful. That's where the ice comes into play. I think in North Mississippi there might be some black ice on some of the streets. I think it's a little cooler there. But in Memphis, on the streets, at least from East Memphis on 240 to where we are at Ridgeway and Mount Moriah, it's nothing. Nothing. It's dry. It's plenty of traction. No worry. Now, I'm worried about later. Because later they say we could get up to a half an inch of ice accumulation. That will be dangerous. So we'll keep an eye out on that. Look at your phones. Watch your favorite weatherman. Mine's Ron Childers. I watch him. And I kind of rely on that because it's gone like from 90% to like 60 or 70%. So I don't know if it's going to be as bad as they thought, but keep an eye on it. Make sure you're very careful. But right at the moment, if you're going to get out now, I think you're safe for a couple of hours. And it's really pretty in a wintry kind of way. You know what today National Day is because it's perfect for this weather. J-Mo. Do you have any idea what is National Day today?
I don't even think I could venture a guess.
It is National Hot Chocolate Day.
What a day for that.
Is that
day.
not perfect? How did they know?
That's as good as it gets.
Well, I guess it's January 31st every year, so they're figuring it's going to get wintry.
Somewhere across the country, somewhere, there's ice or snow, and it's perfect for hot chocolate.
Exactly, but it's National Hot Chocolate Day today. Sad news today. Seriously. Cindy Williams, Shirley in Laverne and Shirley, and she was in American Graffiti. She was in several movies, and just seemingly a delightful person, passes away after a short illness at the age of 75. Man, sorry to see that. So now both Laverne and Shirley are gone, except they will live on in reruns. Is that like on one of the family stations that, just those syndicated old sitcoms?
It's on somewhere. If not there, it's on one of those network, whatever, affiliated program that you get when you have an antenna or something like that. They got like
the digital alternate.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I always enjoyed her, and seemingly, because who knows, she was just a delightful person, it seems, from every account I've ever read. So thoughts and prayers to her family. She's gone at the age of 75. I did read this tweet going back to the ice storm. It was the best tweet I've seen. Guy, I don't know who it is, just an anonymous guy on Twitter who writes about the freeze. He goes, charge your phones because our city's electrical poles are Anthony Davis fragile.
That's a cheap shot at Anthony Davis. Deservingly so, probably, though.
I think it's descriptive.
You know exactly
Pretty
what that
right on.
You know exactly what that means. I actually thought when you were going to talk about the death, I thought you were going to talk about Bobby Hull passed away.
Oh, my gosh. How did I not write that down first? I will tell you the first person that alerted me to that was Stats Norsworthy.
Really?
Yes. So Brett, late yesterday afternoon, and it made the NBC News. I was very proud of
really?
that. Yes. So he's one of my childhood heroes. Ernie Banks, Dick Butkus, Gale Sayers kind of in there. And then, but the 63 Bears were before Sayers. He didn't get there in Butkus till 65. Guys like Ronnie Bull, they were on that team. A guy named Benny McRae, who made the interception off of Y.A. Tittle to win the 63 NFL championship before there was a Super Bowl. Those guys were heroes. But really, I would say Ernie Banks and Bobby Hull. Bobby Hull, if you don't know, was the first NHL scorer ever to get 50 goals in one season. That was a big deal. Back then, that would be like 60 home runs. That would be like the 4-minute mile. I mean, it was really big. There were only 6 teams in the NHL. So they actually went 1 year from 6 to 12. So you're talking about every game was an all-star game pretty much the way it works now because you got 30 teams. So think about paring down to 6, okay? And that's what you had. Everybody was Canadian, by the way. Bobby Hull was a Canadian.
He was from Ontario.
And, back in those days, literally, if you were a great Canadian player, you became a pro at like age 12. They put you in these junior leagues, like St. Catharines was a big junior league, I believe Bobby Hull came
That's
up.
where he played, St. Catharines.
How about that? How's that for memory?
The Teepees.
Now, don't ask me what I did yesterday, but I can remember that he played for St. Catharines when he was like 13 years old. So that's what they would do. It's much like what the Soviets did later. They just identified great athletes and put them in major programs when they were, in their early teens.
European soccer does that now.
Exactly. That's exactly what they do. So that hockey did that generations ago. And Bobby Hull was this really good-looking kid. Was about 5'10", which was big for hockey then. Burly guy, wavy golden hair, blonde hair. They called him the Golden Jet. As quick as could be. And he had a heck of a slap shot with great accuracy. And then, middle of his career, and I can't remember, but the Blackhawks were the ones that discovered this. I think it was him and a guy named Stan Mikita. Stan Mikita, by the way, was in a couple of those, the movie with the SNL guys. That came from Rockford Cable Station, remember? Oh, gosh.
Oh, not Wayne's World. That's
Wayne's World,
Is
yes.
that right?
He was in Wayne's World. Who are those two guys?
Mike Myers and Dana Carvey.
Yeah. Fantastic, fun stuff.
That's right.
But he was in those movies, Stan Mikita. Anyway, Stan Mikita and Bobby Hull figured out, and I think with a guy named Red Hay, and I don't know how they did this. They would dip the blade part of their hockey stick in water and then wedge it in a door to bend it. They were the first ones to have bent hockey blades, which added more spin, which made it harder for the goalies. And in those days, by the way, goalies did not wear masks. Can you believe that?
That's a different brand of toughness, if you ask me.
Well, but because,
maybe crazy. I'm not sure.
And I'll say this, because of the curved stick, the velocity and the spin got much more acute, and so that's why it was going so fast and moving so many different ways. They go, well, we got to put masks on, and they did.
Different than the masks from today, though.
I think Jacques Plante with the St. Louis Blues was the first guy to wear a mask, and Glenn Hall actually, who was the Blackhawks goalie, didn't wear one. And he should have put one on. Maybe he did later because he would get so nervous before a game.
Jacques Plante, first goalie to wear a mask.
How about that?
Yeah, 2 for 2 today.
Man, that's, like I said.
But I'm just looking through Bobby Hull's stats while you talk about him. I don't know much about him other than the name and being a great hockey player. Led the league in goals 8 years, and from 1965 to 1969. That's 4 years straight led the league in goals all those years. Incredible goals.
It was a great family because his brother was Dennis Hull, who also played for the Blackhawks for a while. And then, Bobby left to go for the WHA, became the first big money guy. And then he had sons.
Brett Hull was great when I was growing up.
And he had sons that were great players. Bobby lived a good life, 84 years of age. I think he definitely cashed in on his fame, and his abilities. He was later in life, he was really kind of quiet. I don't think he tried to really exploit it, but I think he was set up pretty good. I believe he had a farm, and I'm making this up, but it might be Manitoba or something like that. So he had a good life. He died at the age of 84. He really was a big staple in my growing up. So 84 years of age, passing away. I am a voter for the Wooden Award, and I got my final 20. You know who's on that list?
Who? Kendrick Davis.
Yes! But he's not the only one in the American. So this is going to be a great battle. Everybody thinks because he just won another Player of the Week, Kendrick Davis. He averaged 25 during the 2 games, SMU and Tulsa. So if you look at it, he's had 6 of these, which is the most I've ever seen of any player. Player of the Week from the American. And then DeAndre Williams had it the week before. So Memphis has had 7 of the Players of the Week. It's pretty impressive stuff. But you know who else is on that final 20?
The kid from Houston.
Yep, Marcus Sasser.
Sasser, yeah.
So who will end up being the American Player of the Year? I think it's going to come down between those two because they're the ones that are making the national headlines. And whichever one of them beats the other one, and they're going to play twice, maybe 3 times, that's the person that will be your winner. Here are the finals, the final 20. Amendo Baycott from North Carolina, Antoine Davis from Detroit Mercy. Do you know about this kid?
Yeah, he he passed Pete Maravich's total points, right?
No, he has not yet.
He's close.
Mike DeCourcy, who will join us at the end of the program. DeCourcy has written a story about him. He is chasing him. So Maravich has 3,667 points. He did it in 3 years.
Yeah, this guy's in 5th year playing.
Antoine Davis. You know who his dad is?
The coach, right?
Mike Davis.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's at 3,288. So he's got a ways to go, but pretty good chance that he will make it. KD's in there. Zach Edey from Purdue.
Oh, this guy, please.
I think he's going to win it.
He better not.
Kyle Flipowski from Duke. Trace Jackson. There's a lot of Davises here. 3 Davises. Trace Jackson Davis from Indiana. Jaime Jaquez from UCLA, it seems like he's always up there. Keontae Johnson, the kid that almost came from Memphis, that's just killing it at K-State and was the SEC Player of the Year at Florida before he had the heart issues, remember?
I do.
Mike Miles from TCU. Brandon Miller, he's what do they have him? Top 5, top 7 in the NBA? The freshman from Alabama, he's great.
He's a lottery pick.
Man,
sure.
he is incredible. Chris Murray from Iowa. Marquise Noel from Kansas State. So there's 2 from K-State. Jalen Pickett, Penn State. Marcus Sasser, we mentioned. Terquavian Smith from NC State. Drew Timme from Gonzaga. Oscar Schwebe from Kentucky. Azulis Tabellis from Arizona.
He's good.
Jalen Wilson, who's really been terrific at Kansas. He's definitely going to be in the top 5, I guarantee it. And then Isaiah Wong from Miami. Those are the top 20. They call that the late season final, not final, it's called the late watch top 20.
It's easy to remember, right? The late watch top 20.
Yeah.
Easy as anything else.
I would love it if KD was in the top 10.
I'm afraid you're right. I think Zach Edey is going to win it, but it's just not. I would like the Wooden Award to be held to a higher standard than just throw it to a 7'4" guy next to the basket that no one in his league can push away from the goal. Because if you do, he won't make any shots.
Well, he's got a double-double.
He does.
You don't think he's going to be an NBA guy?
I mean, at 7'4", he's going to be on a roster. I don't think he'll have any kind of significant career in the NBA. I don't.
I mean, if Taco Fall could get a couple of – he does more than Taco Fall.
He does, but that's as close a comparison as I can think of. You're right, he does do more than Taco Fall, but he'll have to develop a lot of areas of his game if he's going to be an NBA player. And I think I'd like a more skilled basketball player to win the Wooden Award.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
No, I of those guys, obviously I watch KD every night. I know how good he is. I'd love for him to be in the top 5. Memphis is going to have to beat Houston once or twice for that to occur. The guys that I think, do you think it's Jaquez, right? Is that how they pronounce the kid from UCLA?
Jaime Jaquez.
Jaquez, okay. I watched him play in person at the NCAA tournament twice last year. I know how good a player he is. I don't think he would be the guy. You think Keontae Johnson at K-State's got a shot at this? He's playing lights out.
He could have a shot. You mentioned
I would say Brandon Miller is the best guy that I've seen this year.
Brandon Miller's one. The kid from Arizona is good, but you mentioned the kid from Kansas, Jalen Wilson.
Yeah, he's great.
He's unbelievable.
What
He's
about
got a
Drew
big
Timme?
game.
How come Drew Timme never gets that real consideration?
I agree. He just goes about his like hard hat lunch pail kind of guy.
He's just such a good college player.
He is.
And I mean, he won the game for them against Memphis last year. They got to the next round because of him. And you could talk all you want to about Chet Holmgren, but it was Drew Timme. And nobody thinks Timme has a chance to be an NBA guy.
And that's I think he certainly will get a shot, but like you said, no one thinks he has any sort of significant future in the NBA. David Cobb said this yesterday on Sportstime, and I thought this was very significant. Is this Gonzaga team doesn't get the pub that they usually do because they usually have like the Jalen Suggs or Chet Holmgren, that freshman All-American that everybody's pointing to, and that's what the media soaks up. Now they just have a bunch of seniors and juniors and Drew Timme just going about his business. Obviously, they had that tough loss last week too, but this team is as good, has a good chance to make a run in the tournament as any other Gonzaga team, and at the heart of that is Drew Timme. So if you're looking at Player of the Year, that's another excellent candidate.
Yeah, no, I think he's up there in the Wilson kid. Even though Kansas is struggling a little bit now, he's an impressive player. And there's your guy that's like an all-around player other than Edey, the 7'4" kid from Purdue. In the meantime, did you know what happened last night? Did you watch it? Because it involved two of your teams. You're an Iowa State guy, right? Or your dad is.
My dad went to Iowa State, and I went to Texas Tech.
I know. So you had that battle last night.
I did.
And did you see what occurred in that game?
An overtime thriller.
Do you know how it got to overtime?
I don't.
You do not?
I do not.
What is wrong with these kids?
I'm too hyper focused on the National Basketball
Yeah,
Association.
you are. You've forgotten where your roots
I
really
really
are.
have. That's a good way to put it.
No, Texas Tech last night was down with 12:38 to go in the game. They were down 59-36. 23-point deficit, 12:38 to go. You know, I have lamented and thought about putting on my gravestone up 9 with 2:12 to go for the Memphis Kansas 2008 championship game. Up 9 with 2:10 to go. How do you blow a 23-point lead with 12:38 remaining? It's incredible. It is, by the way, the largest second-half comeback in Big 12 history. 23 points. I would say with 12:38 to go, that's really simple. The percentage of probability, according to ESPN, with 12:38 to go in that game, would you like to venture a guess what ESPN's probability was at that moment?
1.5.
Of winning?
1.5.
No.
Less than that?
I take that. Of Iowa State winning the game.
Oh, 98.5.
99.6.
Wow.
0.4% chance for Texas Tech to win the game, and they do get it done in overtime. That, by the way, is the biggest upset in 10 years, a biggest comeback, I should say, in 10 years against a team that was nationally ranked. So it is absolutely amazing stuff. So that was the story of college basketball last night. One last thing, and then we will take a break. And I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studios. Today's the last day of January. I got to get a hold of Billy and of Lindsay, and I got to find out what's going on with their newest sale. But the floor model sale might end today. They may be carrying it over. So if you're interested in the lowest prices of the year on pool tables, spas, patio furniture, game tables, even a floor model arcade starting at $1,200, Now is the time. Get over there to I-40 and go now before it gets icy. Go now and see our friends and the floor model sale at Family Leisure. You know, sometimes I wonder about even high school sports becoming big business. It's crazy. Yesterday, ECS let go of Trey Adams. I am told this might have been a mutual parting of the ways. Trey Adams won a state title for ECS 3 years ago. They were 13-1. It's a bad year for them. They, I think, have some declining attendance, so I don't think it's the easiest job in the world. And our friend Braxton Brady's done a heck of a job. He was the team chaplain for the University of Memphis football team for years, and he's become the headmaster there, the main guy in charge. And he was the one that tweeted out that Adams was leaving. And I think that they're friends. So I don't quite understand that one at all. And then the one I really didn't understand was Briarcrest letting go of Brian Stewart. So what we've had here is two high-profile private high school coaches getting let go for various reasons. I believe the Brian Stewart, I think it is a firing. They're saying step down, whatever you want to say. I think he was let go. He was the victim, from what I'm hearing, of a capital campaign that is going on at Briarcrest, and some of the big money people didn't like Brian for whatever. It's tough, Briarcrest, man. They've let go. They've run off two really good football coaches, Brian Stewart and Major Wright. So don't tell me. There's big business and powerful parents in high school sports. That is for sure. And you remember I told you last year we were 23 under at a golf tournament, the lowest scramble score I've ever seen, and I participated on this thing.
That's right, I remember.
It was because we played with the Cunninghams, a dad who played on the mini tours, and Andy Odell is a really good player. He's an accountant for the Memphis Convention and Visitors Bureau. Just a great team. But the star of that team was a young kid who's 16 years old. His name is Dakota Cunningham. Congratulations to the Cunningham family. They just won, or he just won, Dakota did, the SJGT, which is the Southern Junior Golf Tournament or Tour, Southern Junior Golf Tour. He won a big national tournament at Kiva Dunes, which is near Gulf Shores. Beautiful golf course. So anyway, congratulations, Dakota Cunningham. He is a winner again of another junior tour. Just remember the name, Dakota Cunningham, because you're going to be reading about him more and more. Title sponsor for this hour, you know it's Homer. Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch. This is the last day that I know. I got to get hold of them too. End of the month, you got to figure out what's going on. They've got this fantastic 90-day financing program going on. But this could be the last day because I know it was through January. That is where you can go pick up, and you can do it today. Just get to Lamar, Highway 78 in the first exit, Mississippi Craft Road, turn left. Go see those folks, and you can pick up any new Hyundai. And they got plenty on the lot now. Any new Hyundai. And drive it off, and don't worry about paying it for 3 months. You've got 90-day deferment program going on right now at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Jeff Moore on the National Football League. That comes your way in just a moment.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
It's O Rewards Bonus Points Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Shop in-store or online to earn points and get rewarded at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's time to get your Kia on at Gossett Kia on the Pike. And Bobby J is ready to put you in a new Kia today. You ready for a road trip? How about 41 MPG Highway and your new 2023 Kia Forte LXS? $254 a month, 36-month lease, $27.99 due at signing. Or rock out in your new 2023 Kia Soul. Only $272 a month, 36-month lease, $27.99 due at signing. And if we don't have what you want, not a problem. Let Bobby J order a new ride for you today, and you won't pay over MSRP. Plus, you always get Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Ask for Bobby J. He'll put you in a new Kia today at Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or shop 24/7 at KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Forte LXS PE 573,573, MSRP 21,335, Soul P 789,935, MSRP 21,835. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 1/31/2023. Dealer stock only. Warranties and limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Getaway Sports Bar, the best kept secret in town, open noon to 1:30 a.m. 7 days a week. Garvin, the owner, created this SEC NFL Dream Bar over 20 years ago. You'll never miss a minute of action. 10 TVs, 5 70-inch TVs for all the big games. Rack them up on 6 pool tables. Coldest beer in town, grab you a pool stick and get you some good bar grub. 100% Angus burgers, big and moist chicken tenders. Daily happy hour Monday through Friday, 2 to 6 p.m. with long neck domestics, 225 Getaway Sports Bar, 4632 Winchester.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome in. Always a pleasure to see face-to-face. He comes in even on an icy day. Our friend, the former Vol, the former L.A. Ram, that would be Jeff Moore on the National Football League. We do have a story this morning. Brock Purdy, who got hurt. It's amazing how unfortunate the San Francisco 49ers were. Their top 2 guys, they lost. They find this gem in the last guy taken, Mr. Irrelevant, with the final pick in the NFL draft. What is that, 262 or something like that? He does the job, then gets hurt. Their 4th-string guy comes in, and he gets a concussion. You got to bring back a guy that we find out had a torn ulnar collateral, a torn UCL, which could require surgery, and in fact could require Tommy John surgery. If he doesn't get surgery or a different kind of surgery, he's out 6 months, no big deal. He won't miss anything. If it's Tommy John, that's a year. It's amazing that he could even play at all, forced to come back, and couldn't throw it more than 4 or 5 yards, but still did that with a torn UCL.
I was really concerned about him when I saw that injury because he didn't see the guy. He didn't appear to see him coming, so he wasn't able to brace for the contact, and the guy really got a good lick on him. So I wasn't surprised it was hurt. I hope it's not as serious as it could be. But very unfortunate and very unusual for one team to go through that many quarterbacks in a season and have that kind of success in the process. So, man, I hope he gets I love his story. I hope he's able to get well and be able to compete for the starting job.
What would you do if you were the Niners and their GM? Because Jimmy G, who knows your system, manages it beautifully, he's an unrestricted free agent. You can't franchise tag him. So he's probably going to move unless you give him more money than he may be worth. Now, Trey Lance, to me, even though he's a first-round draft choice, he's questionable. Now you got this kid who may have to have Tommy John surgery that you think is pretty good, but your sample size is 7 games. What are you going to do?
Yeah, it's an interesting challenge to have, and the old saying is you have more than 2 quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback. And of course, you got Tom Brady in the shadows as another potential option that you could push all the chips to the table and say, the only thing I'm missing is a quarterback. Let's plug him in and see, can't we get over the finish line? It's a tough challenge to have. It'll be interesting to see how they figure it out because I don't know. I mean, there are a lot of things I'm sure that go on inside their coaching rooms that we're not privy to that kind of gets into the detail of how you make that choice.
Yeah, it's crazy. In the meantime, you had one really good championship game in the AFC and then sort of the stinker because of the injury, I think, and some bad calls. Like they missed that one that set up the first touchdown for Philly at the 1, which you don't normally see. And I'm not going to blame the line judge on that one. And then San Francisco, really, it's on them. They should have raised the challenge flag, but I don't know if anybody saw it till way after the fact.
Right.
But it just wasn't meant to be for them. Let's start with San Francisco and Philly. Philly has, well, their record is equal to that of Kansas City, so it sets up a pretty good Super Bowl, I think. They're both 14-3. They were both the same record in their conferences. But they quietly dominate teams. They killed the Giants. They absolutely end up killing San Francisco because San Francisco couldn't get anything through the air without a quarterback that could throw.
Right.
So how good is Philly really?
It's a really good question because, you go back to that game and in the first quarter, San Francisco was going toe-to-toe. I mean, their defense was really containing the Eagles' offense and pretty much going into the second quarter. So I think that the Eagles are a better team on both sides of the ball. I mean, offense, defense. This defense that they're going to bring to the Super Bowl, I think, is a better defense than Kansas City's faced all year. So that's going to be a test for them. And I think they have the weapons on offense, especially with the way they ran the football successfully against a really good rush defense and really didn't open the guns on their passing game the way I thought they would. They just did enough to win. Once they had the lead, they just were running the ball to eat up the clock. I think they're formidable. I think Kansas City's offense is formidable too. So I think it's going to make for a really interesting Super Bowl because Kansas City will be facing the best defense they faced all year. And Philadelphia, we'll be playing a pretty good defense with Chris Jones and those guys over there too. They've got some young guys that were back there in the secondary. They got a lot of experience that's going to help them.
Well, you look at the numbers, and Kansas City is slightly better, just statistically, particularly the pass game, than the Eagles. Eagles might run it a little bit better, but the offense is clearly better. And then defensively, Philadelphia is just slightly better than Kansas City. At least that's numbers.
Right.
I think sometimes numbers don't tell the whole story. I think Philly's got a better defense, all told for sure. Let's go back, speaking of defense, and the Kansas City-Cincinnati game, and how the rookie Joseph Asai with the late hit on Patrick Mahomes. Clearly the right call, but it gives Kansas City a win. If that thing goes to overtime, I don't know.
Yeah, it's really tough on that young man to have the game be influenced by that play. I mean, the kicker still had to make the kick, but certainly that penalty hurt. And Cincinnati had played so well to get back in the game and be able to tie it and be about to make it go to overtime. I would have loved to see it go to overtime. Cincinnati, I take my hat off to this team. The culture that they've developed with this team, the way they could go into Buffalo and play the way they played and go into Kansas City and really had a chance. I mean, they went toe-to-toe. But unfortunately, Patrick Mahomes' performance was, in my opinion, epic. I mean, this guy is on one leg. He's throwing darts, the touchdown. And then really the play, to me, that decided the game where he had to scramble on that one leg that I know he was in pain. I mean, it was just an amazing performance.
And that's the thing. He runs out of bounds. If that guy doesn't hit him, he's got the first down.
Yeah.
Now they got to get 10 more yards, right? But he's got one play to do it. And I'm not going to say he's not going to do it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to put it all on the side because he still could have won the game. They could have gone to overtime. I'm never counting out Patrick Mahomes, to be totally honest with you, but I'm agreeing with you. The guy threw for 327 yards and 2 touchdowns on one leg, runs for the critical first down. I think he deserves it. And, here's the other thing. I believe, things even out over the long haul. Yeah. If you think about it, Cincinnati probably didn't even belong there. Baltimore should have been there. Baltimore has a touchdown that's about to be made by a backup quarterback that puts the ball up, it gets knocked away. And when's the last time you saw a defensive lineman go 98 yards for a touchdown to win the game when they're about to lose the game?
Exactly.
So I kind of think things evened up.
They did. I mean, that's karma, that's serendipity. I mean, Kansas City, the big question for me going into the game was, and I thought Cincinnati would win only because a high ankle sprain is a pretty serious injury. I mean, you're typically going to take 3 or 4 weeks to recover from that. And Patrick Mahomes he willed this team. I mean, and not only his performance on the field, you could see his leadership was infused in his teammates. This guy, I mean, when the game was tied, he was just locked in.
I don't know how he does it because it's a second degree high ankle sprain, isn't it?
Well, I'm not sure about the degrees, but high ankle sprains are painful. And if you look at the injury, it looked painful.
I've seen high ankle sprains where a guy's out 2 months.
Yeah.
Or more. It's amazing. He didn't want to leave the game when it first happened, and then to come back and, they had to do something with a needle to get him back. But the guy just wants to play.
Yeah.
His toughness is beyond any question. It's crazy.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about his game is not only is he an athletic phenom with his arm talent and the way he is able to maneuver in the pocket, but he is just a fierce competitor. I mean, and you love to see that kind of competitor at that position. I mean, it just gives you a better chance to win, I think.
Well, he's just fun to watch too.
Yeah.
All told, he's just fun to watch. So we know how good he is. We know he's going to pass, and he's going to be effective. He's got Kelsey. That's a great combination. But can the Eagles, who did not, as you mentioned, they did not throw the ball that much in that game. The numbers for Jalen Hurts were 15 of 25 for 121 yards. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball as much as I love my man Kenny Gainwell, who I think had 70-something total yards. That's total yards.
He was very effective.
With catches and with running the football. Can Jalen Hurts throw only 25 passes, all short, and still beat Kansas City in the Super Bowl?
No. They're going to have to open it up. They're going to throw it deep. But the good news for them is they can. I mean, A.J. Brown is going to get open. Devon Smith is going to get open. They're going to have some design runs for Jalen Hurts. This Kansas City defense better be ready because Philadelphia's coming to win, and I think they have a team that's capable of doing it.
Is Jalen Hurts that good a quarterback? I mean,
I think he is.
I tend to agree with you that once they got the lead, they were going to be very conservative, and why shouldn't they? And they knew San Francisco really couldn't throw, but he's going to have to be better than 121 yards to win a Super Bowl.
Well, I mean, I don't remember them even attempting a deep throw in the game. Yeah, so I mean, they've got the weapons. They've got a good tight end. They've got great receivers. It's going to be a great game.
You know what? I don't think either are great teams. We were talking about this yesterday, and some people are equating, and they got to have a great team to make it a great Super Bowl, and I don't agree with that. I think this is going to be an incredibly competitive game. By the way, the line wasn't it originally, J-Mo, Kansas City by 2? It's down to 1.5.
I believe that's right.
So the betting must be going, at least because of that small line, with Kansas City changing it a little bit. I can't imagine this is not a good game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great game because Philadelphia will be Jalen Hurts will play fantastic. I think Patrick Holmes is going to be incredible, and it'll be great to watch.
We will break this down next Tuesday. Looking forward to seeing you. We only got a couple more weeks together. I appreciate you coming in all the time. I really do. Even on an icy day, which is, we should remind everybody, the streets are not bad at the moment.
Right.
Thank you. That's Jeff Moore on the National Football League. And Jeff is brought to you by the good folks at Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. Ken knows it's a big commitment you're making financially, psychologically, everything that goes into moving and building a brand new home, or even you've made the decision you're going to stay, but you're going to change your house around. You're going to do what we call renovation with innovation. He's going to bring in all the modern amenities to your older home and make it a brand new palace. All you got to do is go to kengarland.com. I want you to do that first. See what he and his dad before him, for over 65 years now, have done in this market to building dream homes. It's amazing. And then call him, 901-751-1632. Fun to talk to. A rare guy that sees the little details in the big picture all at the same time. And then know this, he understands the commitment you're making, so he works closely with all of his clients, and he ensures that they should get what they want and should expect. Quality construction, on time, on budget. That's what they do at Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. We pause for a minute. When we come back, we go to Indy. We talk to the Hall of Famer from the Sporting News. Lead college basketball analyst Mike DeCourcy comes your way in a minute.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
It's time to ring in the new year in style. It's time to treat yourself to 117 Prime, Memphis's premier downtown dining destination. Put 2022 in the rearview mirror by enjoying the best steak you've ever had in your life at 117 Prime. Close your eyes and imagine. Wait, don't close your eyes if you're driving. Just imagine the perfect steak, any cut you like, cooked by people who have devoted their lives to cooking you the perfect steak. Sure, there'll be great sides, head desserts, head cocktails, but the star of this meal is the steak of your dreams. It's a new year. Take yourself to 117 Prime.
Do you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes? Good news. There's a new way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative. Call U.S. Tax Shield, A+ rated with the BBB. 800-391-5063 for your free consultation, and let U.S. Tax Shield protect you from the IRS.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
That doesn't sound good.
The paper shredder's jammed, but I think I fixed it.
Oh, well, try shredding these $50 bills then.
Seems like it's working.
Better try another $400.
Stop. Instead of using money, use regular paper. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary.
It's time to discover new roads in the new year at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. Get ready to blaze new trails in the 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport. We Gossett at $359 a month or buy for just $26,350. Gets 29 MPG highway. Or get ready to take your pick from 2022 Outlander or 2023 Eclipse Cross for just $399 per month. And you'll always get peace of mind in your new ride with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport, $359 per month. 2022 Outlander or 2023 Eclipse Cross, $399 per month. You won't go wrong ever when you shop Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or shop online at memphismitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Sport PU 02100 MSRP 27100 Outlander NZO 84912 MSRP 32250 Eclipse PC 04373 MSRP 33335 includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax on a license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month. Dealer stock only.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome back in. Always one of my favorite segments of the day. That's when we get to chat with the Hall of Famer Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News, live from Indianapolis, joins us now. How are you doing this morning? We got winter weather here with ice storm warnings. How are things in Indy?
Yeah, everything's good here. It's cold, but, I lived through one of those ice storms down there, 95 or something like that. It was not fun.
No.
So I wish everybody down there the best. Be careful.
That's funny that Ron Childers actually referenced, I think it was 94, that ice storm. He goes, it's not going to be like that today. I was just actually in your city for like half an hour.
Oh.
The Tigers got...
And you didn't visit?
Well... we drove from Cincy because of 6 inches of snow, and we could, believe it or not, they landed us in Lucan Airport, which hadn't been.
Oh wow! That was very close to my house. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Lucan Airport was wasn't that near Crosley Field? Or
no, Lucan's on the other side of town.
I don't know, but I think that was the airport in the 40s and the 50s, right?
Well, that I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know the history.
Anyway, we couldn't get out of there because of the snow, so we had to drive to Indy to get our charter. So anyway, I was there for 10 minutes. Your new bracketology is coming out last week. The Tigers were number 9. Your number 1 line was Houston, Tennessee, Purdue, and Alabama. Are we going to get many changes today?
Not on the top. No,
I didn't think so.
Yeah, after what happened to Alabama, I wanted to make it a 16, right? But there's just not enough out there to move them. Their performance at Oklahoma was, stinky. I think, the single most astonishing result of the college basketball season. Lose on the road, by 5, 8, whatever, but they were just blasted. I mean, it wasn't even as close as the final score suggested. And I don't know where that came from, but some of my colleagues, some of the people who cover college basketball are starting to say Alabama was the clear best team in the country and don't believe Purdue. And I'm like, look, I don't know who's the best or whatever, but I don't think after last Saturday that holds up very well.
Well, to me, Alabama, if they don't score a lot, they're not going to win. They don't play good enough defense. I don't know if that's more surprising than TCU beating Kansas the way they did in Allen Fieldhouse.
Yeah, well, I think because TCU has shown the capacity to be really good. The fact that they did it at Allen was kind of shocking, but they have shown the capacity to be really good. Oklahoma had not played anywhere near that level to this point, and I had never, like I said, I would not have been surprised had Oklahoma won the game, but they had him down double digits, 20 points within the first 10, 12 minutes of the game. It was an absolute disaster for the Tide. So I think we're looking at an extraordinarily wide open tournament.
I agree.
And that every game is going to be every game. We'll look at it other than maybe the 16s against the ones and say, I have no idea really what's going to happen in this game.
Well, it's a crazy year already. You mentioned the Alabama score, then TCU and Kentucky or Kansas. How about last night, Texas Tech? I mean, there's 12:38 to go and they lead by 23. How does Iowa State lose that game?
It is not easy to do that.
No.
I saw Cincinnati do something similar in the 2018 tournament against Nevada. You have to shoot too quickly. I think there's a certain point where I think I'd have to do the math, but I think there's a certain point where mathematically it would be better for you to violate the shot clock every single time down than for you to take some of the shots that's required for you to lose a lead like that.
I haven't done the math, but you're probably right. If they had not scored another point and just used all the time up and then made a few stops, they probably do. You're right. They probably win the game because there was only 12:38 remaining. I mean, it's the largest second-half comeback in Big 12 history. So, but
yeah, when I saw the score, I was DVRing games last night while I did my bracket and then watching them afterwards. And I saw the first half score of that one. I'm like, oh, I don't have to bother pushing the button on that one. I guess that was a mistake.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I turned it off with about I guess I'm going to say after the first media timeout in the second half. I went to watch the Texas game,
Right.
and so that was nuts. All right, the top 20 late watch Wooden Award candidates came out. I was happy to see KD, Kendrick Davis on there, Marcus Sasser. So those are the two that are going to be up for the American Athletic Association Player of the Year, I'm sure. There's 20 guys here. Keontae Johnson from Kansas State's intriguing to me. Jaquez from UCLA is always in there. Nobody mentions Timmy as a serious candidate, but I would think he should be. Who do you think is the favorite to win the Wooden Award?
Well, I will say that the favorite to win the Naismith Award, because I refuse to discuss the Wooden Award.
Why? Why?
Because
I'm a voter. Come on.
I will tell you why.
All right.
Because they have a requirement that you have to have a 2.0 grade point average to be on to be eligible for it.
Huh.
And on at least two occasions in the time I've been covering college basketball, they humiliated athletes who were eligible to compete by making it clear that they were not eligible for their award. And I think that is reprehensible. And so I don't acknowledge the existence.
Wow. I did. I'll be honest with you, and I'm a voter, as I've said.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I never knew that qualification.
Yeah, it hasn't happened in a while, but it happened to some really prominent players 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and I said I wouldn't acknowledge it after that. And their defense is this is what Coach Wooden wanted, and I'm like, hey, if you're eligible to play, you're eligible to be Player of the Year. That's the way it works,
right?
And so I think the clear favorite to win the Naismith Trophy, which I am a voter of and on their board of selectors, I think it'll be Zach Edey at this point. It's going to be hard to catch him, not impossible, but he's got a pretty vast lead right now with the way he's performing, and obviously Purdue being the number one team in the country.
Well, basically, he has a double-double every time out, so you could see why he would be the clear favorite. Now he's certainly say a better pro prospect than Taco Fall was.
We were talking about that the other day at BTN. He moves very well for his size. He moves better than Yao Ming did, although the game was different when Yao played. But he moves better. He's very skilled. Can he guard screen and rolls? He does a pretty good job at this level. Again, given his size, he's not elite at it the way, say, like Ryan Kalkbrenner is from Creighton, who's extraordinary at moving through pick and rolls, but 4 inches shorter, quote in air quotes. So I think he's got a shot. What will be interesting to me, Dave, when Zach's finished, is that will someone in the second round of the draft say, okay, I'll spend my pick on him and take our chance to see what we can do with him? Or will he get like 30 calls on, as soon as the draft ends from teams wanting him to be, free agent, a undrafted free agent with them? It's going to be one of those two things, I think. I don't think anybody will invest in him with a first rounder.
You just wrote a really interesting piece. I knew that Antoine Davis was chasing Pistol Pete. Now, Pete got 3,667 points in 3 years. Antoine Davis is going to be with a 5-year opportunity here, has a good chance to catch him. What I found most intriguing and didn't realize is that Antoine Davis is Mike Davis's son.
Yes.
So Pistol Pete's dad was his coach,
yes.
And Antoine's got his dad as his coach. That is incredible.
It really is. I think the lesson we all take from this is if you want to take that many shots, it helps to have your dad.
Exactly.
Like Freeman Williams and Chris Clemens are like, hey, I did it with a coach who I didn't even know when I got there. I think it's what Antoine has done is really amazing. Because remember, it's a different era of basketball now, and you're getting players who don't want to pass the ball to Austin Carr or Johnny Newman on every possession. They want to get the opportunity to get shot.
Right.
I mentioned having conversations with Rafael Davis, and we were talking about how difficult things can be, even when one single player crops up, starting to average 18, and how in certain places you'll find those kinds of jealousies start to develop because the other player is getting more attention. It's probably among the most difficult things for coaches to deal with. And I think Penny has done a really good job with this team of making sure that the happiness continues to flow. And I think Kendrick has as well, because he's such a good passer and such a committed passer, that even though he's got the ball in his hands and he's leading the team in scoring, everyone remains happy for the most part about continuing to push this team forward. I think that's a really important component of the success they've had to this point.
No doubt, and the other aspect is the other players are accepting of what they must do, and when it's time to get out of the way and let Davis and Williams do their thing, they absolutely let them do that. Just last thing on the Antoine Davis thing here. When you wrote that story, he was about 400 points away. Is he going to get it?
Well, here's the thing. It basically comes down to if the team is not great, although they've been really injured a lot. And so what would help most is if they were to be able to go on a run in the Horizon League tournament. Right. That would help them, because the more games he gets, the fewer points he has to average. In order to do it in the minimum number of games, which would be, I think at this point it's 9 games plus the 1 guaranteed in the Horizon tournament, he'd have to average significantly more than 30 points. And he went out on Friday, and I think he got 29 at Robert Morris. And in that game, he shot like 11 for 16 from the field or something like that. I mean, it wasn't a high volume deal, so they're not chasing it. They're trying to win. They didn't win that game, but he could, given the how accurate he was that night on what shots he did get. I think he was 7 for 11 from 3 or something like that. I mean, they could have gone out and just gone ahead and gone for that, Pistol Pete 40 shots a game thing if they wanted, and they're not. They're still trying to win basketball games. It's interesting, the differences between Antoine and Pete. The 5 years versus 3 years, yes, but Pistol was shooting 38 times a game, and Antoine basically has been around 20 his entire career. So it's the game going a little bit more slowly now than it did then. It's it's as I said, Pistol taking all the shots versus not as many for Antoine. The most on the team by far, clearly, but not. He'd have to take 18 more shots a game to be at Pistol's level. So,
well,
and the third.
In the end, if we're looking at the variance between years, just look at shot attempts, right? Isn't that a better barometer?
Yeah, I think that's a big difference. Like I said, Pistol was 38 a game, and Antoine has been right around 20 for his career. And so it's a huge difference. And defenses are different. Now, Pistol didn't have a 3-point shot, and that makes a difference. But it also, defenses are much more sophisticated now than they were then. So it all kind of, I think that just I think the message to take from it is if you score 3,400 points as a college basketball player, you've done pretty well.
Yeah. If Maravich had a 3-point line, he would have been over 5,000. It would have been uncatchable, I think. Last thing, really quick. Last week, Tigers were 9 seeds. You moving them?
No. They'll be in the same area right now. There hasn't been a lot of movement around their line. There are people retreating back to them. I think you might see some movement in the next couple of weeks if the Tigers continue to perform. I think that's when you'll start to see the movement. But there were a lot of teams in their region, not their physical region, but their region on the bracket, like a Missouri, like an Iowa. They had good weekends. Florida Atlantic continues to win. NC State came back and beat Wake. So a lot of the teams that are in the same neighborhood as them, teams they could pass eventually, had good weekends. So Tigers are, a nice reliable 8-9 game. I think they have the ability to get past that if they continue to do what they did and have done lately, which is get wins that a lot of teams in that league are not getting. Look at the trouble that Houston had home against Cincinnati,
right?
And compare that to what the Tigers did going into the Shoemaker Center and winning.
Agree. I can't wait for those. Those are 2 possible 3 games that are just going to be, I think, classics. Because honestly, Hardaway and Sampson have had nothing but classic games. Always, I'm late with you, but I always appreciate it. Thank you so much, Mike DeCourcy. We'll do it again next Tuesday.
Thanks, Dave.
That's our man, the Hall of Famer from the Sporting News, Mike DeCourcy. He's brought to you by another Hall of Famer in my mind. That's Eflin. Matt Eflin, the Eflin Insurance team that does insurance the collaborative way. If you want to be protected by people that get to know you and your family and what's important and makes the best use of your budget to make sure you're secure, whether that's your home, an auto program, life insurance, whatever it is, he gets to know you, Matt and his team. And then they insure you the right way. They protect you. Same thing with small to mid-sized businesses. If you're looking for commercial insurance and that's the size of your company, he's perfect. Virtually unlimited access to programs to protect you the right way. Gets to know you, your product, what your personnel is like, what those assets are, how you forecast out, what your budget is, and they protect you. It's a great thing. 901-386-GER. That's because he's a big Tiger guy. 4777. Again, the number. 901-386-4777. The Eflin Insurance Team. Back tomorrow. Stats Norsworthy in the morning and Jarvis Greer. That'll be a lot of fun. Stay safe. When the ice hits a little bit later, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Johnny Radio's next.
Hi, everybody. I'm